Aloha, everyone. How's it going? This is Adam again with another episode of the Grow to Great podcast. Thanks so much for joining me today. Got a great episode for you. Today we're here to talk about what I call the growth blueprint for home service businesses like you and me. Hopefully you find some good insights here today. Just want to share some of the things that have worked for me in my business and really lay out the roadmap on what it takes to take the next step, take the next level to elevate your business and get outside of the day-to-day grind of just going to work every Monday and getting through the week, making what you can and calling it a day. So this is really a roadmap for those of you who are interested in taking that next level and scaling your business. If you feel stuck a little bit, it's probably more 90,000 foot type of view. It's not necessarily for businesses who are more developed. You may already have one or more of these insights already in place, but take what you want from it and hopefully it's helpful for you. You probably tried things in the past if you have wanted to grow your business and trying to figure out ways. Maybe some of them have succeeded and others have failed. You get frustrated sometimes with plugging in the right marketing to take the steps necessary to be able to level up a little bit. But the purpose here is really to talk about the main things that I think and the things that I've found work really well for me to get my business to the next level. Talk about that a little bit more. If you find it interesting, of course, as always, feel free to subscribe or follow or share and all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and dive right in and talk about what it is that I think we can do to get you on a proven path to growth, okay? I always like to start off here by sharing what it is that you're going to learn by listening here today. Like I said, I think there's three core elements that every home service business needs. Let's say you're a 50 grand a month business or a 40 grand a month business, and you want to get to six figures. I'm going to share with you the three things that I think are totally essential for you to be able to do that. And I'll walk you through a little more detail about what they are and how to implement them for your business. I want to talk about one of the things that I see a lot of business owners really getting stuck with. Again, getting in that mode where you try to grow your business, you take a few steps, maybe you get some bad feedback, you lose confidence. You just go back to the daily grind. It's something I want you to avoid. I want you to really avoid mistakes that would prevent you from achieving what you're capable of doing with your business. The other thing we'll cover as part of that growth is how to get more jobs without just spending more money. And obviously, marketing is going to be the key to you growing that business. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean just going out and throwing a bunch of money at Google or a bunch of money at Facebook or anything like that. We really want to make sure that you can get more jobs and start building a foundation and a platform that you can grow with, that over time is going to add up. The growth isn't going to be some magic pill overnight kind of thing. I'm not going to sell you a course or tell you I can escalate your business or explode your business overnight. But the reason I chose these three things to share with you is I think they all fit together really well. And if you do implement these things, you make sure they're all working for your business, you will grow. Your business will grow. It will really be more up to you to just manage the day-to-day operations of scaling and keeping up with that growth in terms of hiring the right staff, making sure you have the right fleet, everything like that. It's not that hard to grow your lead base. What's hard to do is to manage that growth. And so by having that strong marketing foundation underneath you, you should have a lot easier time achieving the growth rate you want to get and actually getting to a place where you get some freedom from your business that's not running your day-to-day life. I want to talk about how to avoid all the chaos. Part of growing is not having it just be some frantic, chaotic mess all the time that feels even more stressful, so that you back away from it and you're not able to follow through on your dream of getting the growth that you want. So I'll talk about that a little bit. And as usual, I'm usually going to say some things. I have some words to say about agencies and why I think they might fail for you or might not be a good fit for you, and what you can do as an alternative to agencies. Whether you want to hire one, that's great. I have other episodes where I talk about what to look for in agencies. Or if you just want to do your marketing in-house and do it yourself, that's something we'll talk about as well. But I want to talk about how to avoid that pitfall so that you can feel like you're making the right decisions about how to build marketing foundation and base, so you can actually, like I said, continue to see that slow, steady growth that's going to get you to where you want to be. Okay. As I mentioned, what we're talking about here is what I call the growth blueprint. I just want to point out that statistic right there that just blows my mind. There's some other ones like this, but this kind of says it all. It says that 60% of, I think this is from Forbes, but it says that 60% of home service businesses fail within 5 years. I think small businesses in general have a really high fail rate, but you could see why this is the case. Let's say you go out and you build a nice little business, you're doing window washing or cleaning, you're able to pocket 8 or 10 grand a month, and after 5 years you're making that steady money. It's a decent living and a decent income, but where's it taking you? Where are you headed with that business? And I could see why, whether they fail from either poor service or poor marketing or poor investments, or people just frankly just give up and walk away or decide they want to do something else. I think there's a lot of factors that contribute to this number. And this is something I really want to help you avoid as well. As I mentioned, you've probably seen it if other business owners in this space who just stay at that same revenue level. It's just content to take home whatever the business throws off every month, and maybe that's a good living for a while, but is that really the lifestyle that you want? Are you taking full advantage of the opportunity of how great it is to be a business owner? And how can you do it in a sane fashion so it's not exhausting and risky and constantly stressed out about I have to get to 6 figures a month or whatever the number is? The real key is, again, the things that I'm going to show you here are all about building up your lead base, how to consolidate and build a foundation for your growth that spits out more profit, more cash flow, and ultimately gives you the growth that you want so you can start to step back from your business in 5 years or less even. And certainly 10 years from now, be in a totally different situation than you are right now, of having to grind through each week and really have it take its toll on you, to be honest with you. Because I know what it's like to be out there in the field and be putting out fires and dealing with unhappy customers or employees walking off the job. It's challenging and it's stressful. So knowing that this part is taken care of and having this blueprint is hopefully helpful to get you through that and get you up to that next level. I wanted to quickly share a real interesting little story I had from when I purchased my home business. I moved back here to Hawaii a couple years ago. Owner was running a great business. I didn't buy it because it was terrible. He was running a real nice, tight business. But I'll never forget what he said to me, and that was that he said, this business doesn't make any more money if you grow it. And I thought about that. I registered, and for a while as I was learning and getting more and more in the business and trying to implement some of my own strategies and growth ideas, I started believing what he said. I said, I hired more employees, there's just more money, more problems and things like that. But at the end of the day, I just didn't feel that was true. I mean, I've since proven that. I've been fortunate enough to have quadrupled my business over the last couple of years alone and still growing and got a lot more things I want to do. But it just really resonated with me because I could see that mindset. He was perfectly content to make a good living and have less stress and stuff like that. But he wasn't building a path to where he was going to be 5 years from now, or at least until someone like me wrote in and wrote him a check for the business, which was a kind of a 1 in a million shot if you get that right buyer at the right time. I'm not saying it can't happen, but there was no plan beyond that growth. And so that's not a viable strategy for your future in terms of what you should do with this invaluable asset that you have. So the key here is really just having a proven path. And so that's what I want to share with you here today. Having a proven path to growth, pulling on the right levers to make sure that you are seeing that consistent growth. It's not stressing you out or exhausting, and you finally look back 5 years from now and say, holy crap, I am in a completely different space than I was some time ago. Real quick introduction to me. Won't bore you too much with it, but like I mentioned, I purchased the home service business here in Maui a couple years ago. I also started a marketing agency that helps business owners like us, applying my 20 years or more marketing experience as an executive in solar companies and roofing companies and home service businesses and digital marketing companies. I just really, as I got into my business, I started to learn this business. I started to learn a lot of the challenges and found that I had to apply a lot of the skills and things that I've done over the years to this business to get it to finally work. Ventured, I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, MBA and all that jazz, but so I've seen a lot of different types and approaches, strategic levels on a bigger scale and also for smaller businesses too. And like I said, my main passion now is really to help other people do the same thing that I've done. It's part of how I've gotten to a point where I was able to launch my agency was to free up my time, free up my capital, and then put my marketing hat back on and then take those systems and processes and knowledge that I have and share it with other people like you. So the best part of all of this is that part of what I'm doing to help other people is really leveraging the systems, the technology, automations, the scripts, all the tricks of the trade that I've learned over the past few years that have really exploded my growth, to really just bolt them on. We can talk about that a little bit more, but if I can just take these systems that are working for me and plug them into your business, you're going to skip a lot of the heartache and a lot of the struggle that I endured over the past several years, the investment that I've endured to really just plug it in and get growing, which is really, at the end of the day, I think what we all want here. I want to take a minute just to talk about what I call like the real cost of not growing. Again, if you're running a nice steady business and you're content to run it like my former owner was, there's nothing wrong with that. You may be able to do that for 10 years or 20 years. There's plenty of guys here who own one carpet van and they roll around and they make a good living. But at some point you have to ask yourself, are you willing to make the investment in yourself and take the time to really get to a place where you are growing, so that what are the opportunities that you're leaving on the table for yourself? And what are some of the things you can do to not only avoid the pitfalls that go into growth, but also why are you doing growth in the first place? Why do you want to just grow for the sake of growing? You want to just grow for more money? I don't think it's as simple as that. And personally, I didn't feel that was the same. That was really the issue for me. I was really interested in looking at what the real outcome I was in wanting and purchasing this business in the first place and trying to grow it and ultimately doing so pretty effectively. I always have advocated, I said before, I think if you hire, one of the big pitfalls is hiring an expensive agency, getting in bed with the wrong people. It'll really do a number on your confidence and make you feel like you're never going to be able to grow. I've got a lot of content out there about which agencies to choose, which freelancers to work with, there's plenty of ways to go about growing without just writing a big check or retainer or a long contract with an agency that you really don't even know how that's going to play out. It could work out well for you. I'm not rooting against you, and there are some great agencies out there, but you need marketing. You need a structured, well-proven marketing plan to put in place to grow your business if you really want to. And the number one thing that can actually be impediment to that is just picking the wrong marketing partners. And then you think marketing's a bunch of bull and you don't want to do it ever again. That's a real impediment to growth in my experience. I talked about kind of like this idea of your business owning you, where you just get up on Monday and wonder which fires you're gonna have to put out. I know the feeling, and it's not a good feeling. I know that Fridays seem a lot better when you've gone through a week that's been customer nightmares and employee nightmares and stuff like that. So part of getting out of that grind, part of the motivation behind wanting to grow is getting out of that pattern of just waking up and putting out fires. And ultimately what that means, we all don't mind working hard. We wouldn't be in this space if we weren't willing and able to do good, hard work. But what is your life going to look like if it's a little more stress-free without that grind and more financially secure, so that you do have ability to either reinvest in your business or reinvest in your personal life, or step back from your business, which I think probably would be the ultimate goal for all of us. But you know what it's like. The second you walk away from your business, it seems like it's an immediate dumpster fire a lot of the times, unless you've got some really good managers in place and you've got a lot of process in place. And like I said, a foundation in place to where that thing's just humming along. So that's really where we want to get to here. I talk about here just like, what does real freedom mean to you? We don't want to just work to make money to buy things. We want to have money and less stress and free time to be able to actually pursue the things we really want to do, which is whether that's more family time, whether that's investing, whether that's traveling, whatever it is that really constitutes good freedom in your life. That's why we're getting up and grinding every day. Like I said, we don't have a hard time with hard work. It's really just, what are we working towards? And I think that if you're really interested in solving that and answering that question, I think you do need to be asking yourself if making a commitment to growth is something you really want to do. The last thing I'll say here is really just, what's your end game? Meaning, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Are you able, when you're grinding it out every week, are you able to sit back and say, what is it that I really want to be doing? How do I want to be spending my time? How do I want to take care of my health and things like that? A lot of home service business, you're just getting up and making it through the week, the month, the year. Next thing you know, it's 20 years later and you're still doing the same thing. But you should be asking yourself the question, do you want to sell your business? Do you want to give it to your kids? Do you want to take on an investor and take some cash off the table? There's a lot of opportunities there for you to not just be on this path that just dead ends at some point in time. And so by building these foundations that I want to share with you today, hopefully they can answer and have you asking yourself some of those questions about, where do I see this business taking me in my life? That's really, I think, the most important thing for what we want to do. I mentioned here that I'm saying I'm living proof because, like I said, I'm sitting here, I do own my business, and the process and the growth that I put into place has freed me up to go back to the marketing that I've done for so long, to be in a position to do what I love, which is to help other home service businesses not only grow and succeed, but also avoid all the pain and stress and all the crap that I went through when I first got into, as a first-hand operator of a business like this. I know how painful it can be, and I frankly just love to help people avoid that because I know how awful it can be. I would be sitting with you here today if I wasn't able to do this and implement it with my own business and free my own time up and my own cash flow up to be able to work with clients and help people do what they need to do, what it takes to grow their business. So let's talk about these 3 steps real quick. And as I mentioned, there's really 3 things that I think you have to grow your home service business, okay? It doesn't mean there aren't tactics or other things that you're going to need to do, and there's a million other things we can go through, and I'll address that in other content on social or other podcasts or things like that. But here are the things. I'm pretty convinced that if you don't have all 3 of these things working together, that you're never going to scale your growth, to double, triple, quadruple your revenue. Those three things are this. It's basically technology and automations. I know that can be a scary word for a lot of people in our space when you're dealing with cleaning supplies or vehicle fleet issues or things like that. It's pretty hard to start becoming an expert about technology and automations, but I'll show you how it can be simple and, more importantly, just an incredibly powerful weapon for your business and what it is that you need. The second thing I'll talk about is how to boost low-cost lead generation. Okay, so I'll dive in a little bit more and talk about, do you need to be getting cheap leads, free leads, expensive leads? Guess what? Hint, it's not any of those, it's actually all of those. I'll talk about how to do that and how building your lead base allows you to grow ultimately, because you build your foundation for customer communication. I'll talk about how to do that too, which you obviously can't do without technology. And the third thing that I'll highlight is about increasing your average ticket. Again, there are some tactics that I'll talk about probably for larger ticket businesses like roofing or solar or things like that, there's a lot of tricks we can go through. I'll go through specifically with that. But if you're a smaller ticket business like a cleaner or a carpet cleaner or a window washer or a plumber or a handyman or something like that, where you're going out and doing $150 jobs, $300 jobs, what I'm going to share with you and insist that you do is the importance of increasing your average ticket. Meaning when you go to a job site, you should be providing as much value as you can to that client and earning as much money as you possibly can while you're on that site. It's just a key element that I've seen in the success of not only making more money, but also I'm going to show how it fits into how you grow over time using these other two pieces as well. Okay, so the right technology, the right lead sources and cost, and the right pricing. And I think these are the key foundations, in my opinion, of what it takes to get your business to a stage where it actually grows and doesn't just consume itself. Okay, I'll leave this little note here. Again, welcome to book a call with me anytime. I keep my calendar open for either strategy calls, either to onboard clients or to just talk with other home service businesses, because frankly, I learn a lot from my discussions with them. I like to do, if you've got questions about, even if you're doing your marketing yourself, I'd love to be here and apply some of my couple decades knowledge of experience for you, pertinent to what it's like to be a home service business. If you're not a home service business owner, don't call me. If you're a home service business owner, feel free to call me, book a call. I'm happy to jump on with you anytime. So number one, let's talk about tech and automations a little bit. I just started with this first one. I think you probably know what a CRM is, but if you don't, it's a customer relationship management tool. It's basically a digital platform where you're allowed to keep all your customers' contact information, do billing and invoicing and notifications and all the other stuff. You may be using one already, which is great. If it's Jobber or House Call Pro or Service Titan or anything, you could be using Go High Level or Sales, who knows, HubSpot, Salesforce. There's a bunch of them out there. But you're probably, hopefully, already using one. If you're not, that's where I stop you. You have to have a CRM tool right away. That's the number one thing you need to do. Even if you're not intent on growing, you really should be running your business through a CRM. It's just going to be a little bit of pain to set up, but your business will get more efficient. It will get more repeat customers. It will be a much more smooth process. And you're not just going to be chasing people around trying to collect money and doing all the normal nightmare stuff out of a day planner or something. So again, if you have one, great. If you don't have one, go get one right now. If you need recommendations, I'm happy to point you in the right direction. Second thing I want to talk about, you probably heard in the home service industry, is this concept of speed to lead. Speed to lead means you need to reply to your customers immediately, multiple times, multiple ways, and immediately communicate and offer to solve whatever problem or issue that they have that they need serviced. Period. End of story. The way to do that, of course, you see how it ties in with technology and automations, is you should be contacting them, whether it's through your customer service, through SMS, through emails. I use ringless voicemails. I'll show you that little trick later. But bottom line is I'm going to do a specific podcast on speed to lead and do a deep dive on that and talk about the impact that happens from 1 minute after they call to 5 minutes after they call to 1 hour after they call. I think if you call them the next day, I think your chances of closing them are like 50 times less. I'll share the number with you in the podcast, but it's something totally ridiculous. The bottom line is that I think 80% of the people who call in for a home service job go with the first person that answers the phone. So that should just tell you everything you need to know right there. If you don't reply immediately, they're going to call somebody else. You know this already, but I'll talk about ways for you to implement speed to lead and do a deep dive down on another podcast, okay? Automate now or stay stuck? Absolutely. Again, there's a lot of, without it being too daunting, There's a lot of automated tools out there with AI, with CRMs, all types of different ways where you can just streamline your operations so people are getting automated messages. Again, this may be something you're already doing, and congratulations if you are, but if you don't have automated messages plugged in, you're missing a huge opportunity. And there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Of course, there's like just getting it live, but there's also the little tips and tricks and little things and what to send and when to send it and how to word it and all that stuff. I'll share that in that podcast as well as part of the automation flow for speed to lead. So we'll talk about that. Real-time communication. I actually use this internally with my team. I do use Slack. Slack's great because I can do phone calls, chats, video calls with any combination of my employees. It's just a no-brainer. The days of people calling each other on cell phone, if you're doing that, just stop it right now. You can also look back in history for all the conversations or questions that may have come up or customer issues or things like that. So that's all tracked in there. A big one for us is we do all of our estimates with video estimates. If your CRM doesn't do that, but if you don't, we use it in Slack. We go out and shoot estimates. We shoot video. The entire team sees them. I can't emphasize enough, this is a really simple one to plug in. It seems a little techie. Maybe it's like a little wonky and you should have to be in some corporate office somewhere, but I'm telling you, for a home service business owner, the more communication, the more visibility everybody has into the conversations they need to see, the more they're going to learn, the faster they hear, the more insight and empathy they have with the other employees who are out there doing the same stuff as them, the more their problems are going to get fixed or their needs are going to get addressed. I use this Slack obviously with my marketing agency clients as well. It's a phenomenal tool where I'm basically available 24/7. And even if I don't get back to them and I'm sleeping or whatever, I can check where that last message was and pick up the conversation right away. It's a must-have these days. The last thing that I'll talk about is when people say dashboards, I think they're thinking some big fancy, some of them can get pretty fancy, don't get me wrong. My main takeaway here is really understanding your core metrics and understanding the metrics that really matter for your business. It's too easy when you get in bed with a marketing agency. They're going to tell you what your CPL is. They're going to tell you how many clicks you got. They're going to tell you, even if they tell you like your cost per sale or some stuff like that, or your ranking on Google, those metrics don't matter. And so whether you use dashboards or not, dashboards being nice technology where you can literally turn something on and see all of your core metrics, how many sales you got, how much they cost, how much money you made. At a minimum, you need to be seeing the metrics that are related to your revenue. How many leads you got and how much money they turned into. Everything that happens in between is not as important. It's useful to know and it drives your decision making, but you should only be really concerned with the first two. How many leads did I get? How much money did they turn into? As a business owner, if you look at it through that lens, you're going to be in a much different place and vantage point to understand everything that happened in between. And dashboards are really the way to do that. Again, that's what I use and part of why I advocate for setting up systems and making sure you have all that visibility and all the technology in place before you just say, I'm going to go do marketing and I'm going to go buy Facebook ads or I'm going to go buy whatever. You shouldn't spend any money on marketing until you invest and set up your technology. And it's not a fortune. You should set up and invest in your technology that gives you visibility, communication, automation, speed to lead, and CRM. If without those things, you're just pissing in the wind when it comes to marketing, and it makes it much harder, much riskier, much more expensive for you. Okay. So again, concept here behind technology, even though it seems like an initial headache to get it set up and it's a little daunting because you don't have to be a developer to know how to use these tools. Having technology means more jobs, even with the same lead volume. We haven't even gotten to that yet. The same amount of, if getting 100 leads today and you're converting 40 of them into jobs, I guarantee you those 40 will be 50 or 60 jobs. I guarantee it. That means fewer headaches. So that means less chasing down people, following up with leads, the game. Just that endless cycle of I remember solar, God, chasing down solar. If you got a paid lead that was sold to 4 different companies and you're trying to chase them down, and you know the deal, guys. The headaches that arise out of not having this stuff automated by technology are totally changed the mentality and the culture of your business overnight. So that's another reason to do it. And needless to say, if you spend $1,000 getting those 100 leads and they became 40 jobs, but now the technology turned them into 60 jobs, there's going to be more profit on that initial money that you spent getting those 100 leads. So across the board, can't emphasize enough, even if technology seems daunting to you, do not invest in any marketing or any marketing strategy or any marketing agency until you have your technology set up cleanly. It doesn't have to be spaceship level, but get it set up. have visibility, know what you're doing, and take care of all this stuff. I can't emphasize this enough as far as how to get on the right path to growth as opposed to just cranking up marketing and hoping for the best, okay? Here's the second piece I want to touch on. So I mentioned earlier about you can get more jobs with technology out of the same number of leads. If you really want to grow, this sounds like common sense, is get more leads, of course. More leads, more jobs. Now, the key there really is that if let's say you're buying Angie leads and they're $45 a lead or $38 a lead or whatever it is, that's fine. Maybe that's working for you and that's why your business is level like this, okay? If you can start tapping in some of the lead sources that are cheaper or free, which we'll talk about here, or lower cost, they may not even be as good a quality. They may, maybe not. But even if they're not as much a quality, you're boosting your lead volume overall. And guess what happens when your overall lead cost for all the leads that you drive goes down because you're buying cheaper leads or getting cheaper or free leads? Guess what? You have more cash flow to invest in those Angie leads. You have more cash flow to invest in Google ads, which are really good customers, but very expensive because the keywords can be $8 or $10. You guys know how that works. The point is that until you start lowering your overall effective cost per lead and growing your lead base, that you're not going to grow at all. You're not going to grow consistently is what I should say. So I mentioned a couple topics here. Social PPC, I only say it's fastest to win because you can turn on Facebook ads within a week and probably get relatively low CPLs, cost per leads. The quality may be an issue, whether you convert them or not is an issue, especially if you don't have technology set up, but it's a very fast way to start getting relatively cheap leads very quickly. So what are you doing? You're building up your lead base, right? Just by adding those cheap leads, even if maybe you're not converting them as well as you should out of the gates, you're starting to build your lead base, okay? You all know the importance of local ads at this point between Google business profiles, local service leads, all that stuff that's so pertinent to home service businesses. But that visibility, and there's a feedback loop that happens with those where more leads equals more jobs equals more reviews equals more better business profile and local visibility, and then better local visibility, guess what? Means more free leads that are coming in. Getting started with the optimization. Now, optimization of local ads does take some time, as you probably know, but you need to basically make a commitment to that because it does create that feedback loop where that increased visibility that you're going to get within that channel is going to pay dividends for you over time. So it's not an immediate, like social, it's not just something you can throw the switch on and immediately boost up. But if I were to start this business tomorrow, it's probably the first place that I would invest in, or a home service business tomorrow. It's the first place I would invest in, knowing that 3 to 6 months from now, as long as my technology is automated and I'm getting good reviews up on that profile and I'm putting good content up there, it will pay huge dividends within the next several months, not years. And more importantly, it's sustainable. As long as you stay on it, it's going to be a steady source of leads for you. Can't emphasize and highlight that enough. Invest in your local service presence. It's priceless. Next area that I'll tap into is SMS and email marketing. It blows my mind how so many business owners I bumped into do this a little bit. They maybe throw an email out every once in a while or whatever, but if you're not working what I call your gold mine here, and now as your lead base starts to build, you're now doing internal list marketing, reminders, SMS, email, and stuff like that. If you don't have that stuff set up and more importantly, automated, so that it's just running in the background, getting more leads for you, you're just missing out on literally free money. So I'll probably do a whole episode on this on specifically how to run SMS campaigns, how to run email campaigns, how to run them in concert. There's some ways to do it where you do follow-ups to people who open and different follow-ups with people who don't. I can go through a lot of those tactics, but at the end of the day, SMS and email is probably the most effective low-cost lead source or viable option for you to grow your business. The challenge, of course, though, is how do you grow your lead base with the other tools that I'm showing you here so that over time, that SMS and email gets even more and more powerful for you. So that's another one. And I touched on reviews and referrals here, but I did mention that feedback loop. If you're not getting 3 or 4 5-star reviews every week, you're just doing it wrong. You need to not do that anymore. I can show you how to do that. My business has over 500 5-star reviews. I think we have maybe 2 or 3 1-stars. There's a way to do that where it's just creating that feedback loop on your local profiles. It's validating all of your social ads. It's validating all the emails that you sent. It doesn't really cost you anything to do. as you probably know, but it needs to be a key element of building this low-cost lead strategy. And you can see here what I say, which is stack them, right? Stack them meaning run them all. Don't lean on one of these and then try and do one of the others. The other one isn't working and bouncing back and forth here. What we're trying to do is get slow incremental growth of the lead base, and leveraging all 4 of these low lead cost sources over time is just going to continue to support your ongoing growth, like I said. So now we've talked about technology. We're talking about low cost lead sources. And again, once you have more cash flow because you're spending less on leads, where can you invest money? Google Ads, paid leads, maybe even advertising. That's a whole other level, but you see what I'm saying? You have the capital because you're building up your lead base by implementing this multi-tier low-cost lead strategy. So that's the second piece that I think is just absolutely key if you want to actually incrementally grow your business over time, okay? Third one, super important too, the concept of average ticket. I'm guessing you're familiar with it, but the idea of basically every time that you go out to a job, or sell a job, you want to boost the amount of money that you're charging for that job as much as possible. The way to do that, in my experience, it's not necessarily just upselling, although that's part of it. We'll talk about that. But really, how can we offer more value? Don't think of it as what else can I sell to the customer? That's a bad approach, and customers really see through that. So what I would say is think about, if you don't have them already, what are complementary services that I can sell that marry up with whatever it is they're calling me for, okay? I've expanded my business to include all different types of services. The other great thing that's great about that is, aside from saying my upsell is, hey, is there anything else we can take care of for you when we're out there? A lot of times we'll just hear back, what else can you help me with? Oh, we do this, we do tile and grout servicing, we do concrete and driving, pressure washing, all that different stuff. That will actually be providing more value to the client, instead of you just saying, well, I can also do your driveway for $500. It's not going to work, okay? That doesn't mean you shouldn't offer complementary services that provide more value to the customer. If you do that, if you're a guy or girl out there who's doing $150 jobs, or a $250 clean, or $300 window wash, or something along those lines, you need to be, every time you go to a location, you need to be selling $600, $800, $1,000, $1,200 worth of work at that same job. And there are ways to do that. Again, part of that is by offering complementary services, okay? We need to add them to your business. You need to do it in a smart way, but there's a way to do that, to identify what those services are and make sure that your customers have the opportunity to tap into that value and not just be sold other things. It's a really important distinction. Upsell training is very important. Some businesses are easier to upsell than others. There's some kind of built-in upsells with home services. You probably are using some of them already. But I think if you train, and you can train and incentivize your team to offer upsells and to do it in a very natural, organic way as part of the sales process. Upsells are obviously a powerful tool, but they shouldn't be the only part of raising your average ticket. They should be an ancillary or just side part. So in other words, once you've offered them maximum value in the services available to them, then you can maybe plug in upsells, offer more value, add a new product, add a different service, add an eco-friendly solution, whatever it is that works for your business, add a warranty, add a guarantee. There's a lot of different things you can do depending on what type of business you run, but that's going to be really crucial to you converting more customers and increasing your average ticket at the same time. The other thing that I will say, and I share these with my clients all the time, is find out what promotions that actually work with your clientele. They say in marketing that you have your 5 P's of marketing. I won't get into them, but one of them is promotion, meaning you need to make an offer of some kind that makes that. Anyone can offer handyman services, but what are you doing that's a little bit different, and what value? This could be a discount, it could be a BOGO, it could be 100 different things, a coupon. But most marketing, to be really effective, if you're out there trying to capture customers, is really going to almost always need a promotion attached to it. I would not just go out and run some pretty looking Facebook ad that has your logo and pretty pictures of you doing whatever, or banging nails on a roof, or whatever it is. You have to have an incentive in your marketing to do that. And the best part about promos, and the reason I'm bringing it up here, is that one of the promos that works really well for us is we can offer now, I can say, hey, come in and I'll provide you with the service that you came here and asking me to do. Then I can also give you another service, either at a discount rate or free or whatever. And the customer, again, is getting more value because I'm able to offer more services. And now I can attach those multiple services to an additional promotion that creates more urgency and more willingness and readiness for the customer to book the job and go ahead and turn into some revenue for you. Bottom line, more services, more revenue, better customers. And what I mean by better customers is you're not just getting people who are lowball pricing you, who never call you back, who threaten to go with the other guy. People see you as a value provider, not just a service provider, but a value provider. And they're going to come back and work with you more and more. They're going to trust you more and more. Overall, it's a better value proposition for both you and the customer. So can't emphasize enough why this is the third pillar of what I think it really takes to grow. I mentioned before, what we're doing is, in my free time, I've managed to start a really cool home services marketing agency called Home Service Ignition. I really wanted to take all the pain, like I said, out of building. It's one thing to take some of these foundational pieces and apply them in our business, into your business, and I welcome you doing that. Of course, if any of this makes sense, go take a stab at it. If you have questions, you can talk to me about it. But what we did within our agency was a couple things that are very different that kind of took a lot of the guesswork out of marketing. For starters, obviously, as I'm sitting here talking to you, you can tell I'm a home service business owner and expert. So just having that niche expertise, if you go out and try and pick one of a dozen digital marketing agencies out there, they could show you some pretty ads and some great Facebook metrics. If they don't know this business at the end of the day, and they're asking you and telling you they can basically grow your business and grow your revenue, I would just have serious questions about that. Whatever you choose to do, if you either do it yourself marketing internally, whether you hire another agency, whether you ask us for help, you really should be working with someone who understands home service marketing expertise, and that's going to be a real key to your success and save you a lot of pain, probably a lot of money and heartache too. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we're doing differently that I've been was able to do for my clients is plug in the systems that already work for me. I can give you my dashboards, I can give you my automations, I can show you how I build out creative campaigns. Basically have all the systems in place that you need that I mentioned to you in that first section. And so you'll go to market when you start your marketing plan with a complex, organized set of technology that gives you all the tools you need so you can hit the ground running right out of the gates. I just wouldn't spend $1 of my customers' money or my clients' money without knowing that they have complete visibility and the right technology to turn those leads that we drive into new jobs. Super important. The other thing we do a little differently here is what we call quick wins. We have a pretty awesome 60-day detailed onboarding checklist. It's a 150 task list, checklist over 8 weeks that we, unlike other agencies, we give you full access to. You can see every single step that we're working on, we're working on at a given time. It's all done sequentially for maximum effect. As I mentioned on some of my other episodes, I talked about our agencies don't want you to have visibility in how much work they're doing or how little work they're doing. We want to show you everything. We want to show you exactly what we're doing. And more importantly, we want to start doing marketing, what we call quick wins, which is basically driving you leads and revenue right away. I've had a couple agencies that come in, they're very talented, you can tell, or marketing resources or teams, whatever, not just agencies, but you can tell they've got the skill. I didn't pick them because they're totally clueless, but what they come in and they think they want to impress you with fancy presentations or brand work or deep dives into your persona and your identity. That's all fine and dandy. Don't get me wrong, there is some value to that, but what you really need is you need uninterrupted leads. You need interrupted jobs. You need uninterrupted revenue. And to get in bed with a marketing agency and start going down the wormhole of marketing thinking and fancy marketing metrics, we focus on just getting quick wins. We plan on driving leads, fair amount of quality leads within the first 30 days of onboarding a client. So that's just a total difference between, and we hold ourselves accountable to that. It's really important that we turn our work into revenue for you as quickly as possible. I mentioned real-time communication. We do monthly check-ins, which are full hour-long review calls and everything like that. But you want to talk to us, there's no junior account manager who you can talk to in a week or two. You hit us on Slack, we'll get right back to you. We'll solve whatever issue you have and we'll keep moving forward. We want to communicate with you, not the opposite. We're not trying to avoid or spend as little time with you on the phone as possible, which you'll find from a lot of the people you work with out there who do marketing services. Another thing we do a little differently is again, this is really driven off of my pain of being stuck in long-term contracts and retainers, upfront retainers when I have no idea what you're going to deliver for me. We work on a performance-based fee model, which means we basically take a revenue share of the business that we drive. I think it's very fair and ethical because it's basically tied in if you have with your success, right? Our interests are aligned. If you have a really crappy month, we're going to have a really crappy month. If you have a killer month and we kill it for you, we'll have a much better month, and so on and so forth. So I just believe strongly in getting paid. Just like a home service business owner, you would never ask to get paid for crappy work that you provided or pay your employees before they did the work or something like that. We get paid when we deliver results, and I think that's a really different way of looking about fee structures in terms of marketing services. That's something we could share with you. I can talk about that with you a little bit more. And bottom line, like I said, if anything doesn't work for you, you want to just touch base, do your own marketing, ask me some questions. You can work with me, don't work with me, work with us. Either way, we don't do any contracts, cancel any time, walk away, do what you want with this content. If you got a question 6 months from now, call me back, no issues. But either way, I'm here to support you in what it is you decide to do ultimately with your growth and what it is you want for your future of your business. So like I said, we're just doing what I would call, if an agency does it, we pretty much do it the opposite way, like this anti-agency concept. And bottom line, if you want to talk, let's talk. Book a call. We can do a strategy session. Happy to answer specific questions about this blueprint. If you've got specific tactical tips you want to ask about how to run your call center or your SMS messaging or anything, just give me a call. I'm happy to reach out and talk to anybody anytime. If we do a strategy call, definitely want to do a deep dive and focus on your business and see what like I said, what your vision is for your growth and how we can turn what your actual business is into that vision rather than, hey, I can just get you more leads. That's not interesting to either of us. And again, there'll be other podcasts, other stuff out there. If you want to check me out on social, got a newsletter as well. If there's some good insights there for you, feel free to follow along. But hopefully this has been real valuable for you. I'll sign off. Let's do what we can to ignite your business, I always like to say. I'm here to help out. And if you got any questions, hit me up. Aloha. I'll talk to you soon.